to speak on and to address. It's very important that we understand when it's time to separate and be alone. I think we as humans, we have a hard ass time being alone. And I always wonder why. Like, why don't people like being alone? Because I've always been, somebody who's comfortable with being alone. I can be alone. I don't mind being alone, doing things by myself, going out alone. I'm the type to go to a restaurant for the fucking movies or, something of whatever it is and do it by myself. But I've always, encountered people who say, oh, I can't do that by myself, or I've never done that by myself. And it's just crazy because I always wonder, like, well, why couldn't you do it by yourself, but you'll do that same activity with a group of people? Why not by yourself more than the group of people? And what I've came to conclusion is, a lot of people aren't themselves, or they aren't connected to themselves. So, a lot of times when people think of the idea of being alone, they got to think about not being with nobody, just to themselves. And that can be scary for some people because if you don't know who you are, it can be quite frightening to be alone with nobody. If that's how you think. And I think it's just important that we kind of get rid of that. Well, first, we must have to become, in tune with ourselves. I think people need to start, reflecting on themselves and looking themselves in the mirror more, talking to themselves more, just getting clarity of themselves by themselves. So, whether that's going outside, taking walks by yourself, or, just being in a zone where you're able to connect with yourself without the presence of anybody else. And that's going to be important, I feel like, not only now, but moving forward in the future of growing and our personal development, human development, social development. We have nowadays people more, social or wanting to be around a crowd or in the mix, versus, just being by themselves or doing things, by themselves, which is not wrong, which is not, saying you can't be social, you can't be out, with friends, but, can that same person kind of be alone and know that they're secure, and give themselves that credibility and validation that they need, and not from a group of friends or, doing things outside of yourself to get that kind of, validation. But in order to grow, we want to be better. If we want to evolve, if we want to, go beyond what we are now, we need to learn the idea of separation. And separation is not always bad. It does not always mean that things are over. It does not always mean that, things can't come back. If you can pull it apart, and if it's meant to be together, it'll go back together. And that's the idea that we have to kind of, learn. Because in order to grow, we have to outgrow some things. We will outgrow some things. We will outgrow people. We will outgrow environments. We will outgrow situations. Things that was once something is no longer anything. And that's the part where a separation comes in at, because you won't know what you can outgrow unless you separate yourself from it. Or if you outgrow it and you're still around it, you need to separate yourself. There's no way you can still be growing and still around things that doesn't add to your growth, or doesn't give you that same energy back of growing, of feeling like you're evolving day by day. So that's something we really have to think, concentrate on, and not concentrate on being alone, but concentrate on the idea of accepting you may have to be alone, during your journey, specifically entrepreneurship. For anybody who's interested, you can go follow, subscribe to my YouTube channel, InnerG Visions. That'll have a lot of videos on entrepreneurship, on the journey. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But the idea of being alone, kind of scares us. But sometimes we may have to be alone in order to get to that next level of, that next level in life, and be comfortable with that. Now, separation is not, saying, you have to be alone to grow. That's the only way to be alone or that's the only way to grow is by being alone. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that when you do separate yourself and you are alone, you are able to get more clarity. And that's because you're outside the picture. If you're outside the picture, you can see the entire picture for what it is, not for what it was while you was in it, which may not even be what it really is. And I think, us is, especially our generation, the millennials and, people of our age, we kind of got lost. Not saying everybody, not all, but I think, and it's hard to say right now because of everything that's going on with COVID, and 2020 just passed, and the numbers is right now, I think it's kind of just like scattered, honestly. I see, the women stepping up and starting businesses and, becoming, planting their foot in the ground, which is, definitely big up to them, to all the women starting businesses, entrepreneurs, but then I see the guys, kind of being on that opposite switch. It's like we switching sides, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but there's a lot of people hopping fences right now. You have a lot of girls who is tired of relying on men and relying on whoever, and now they stepped up and said, I'm gonna get it on my own, and they hopped on the boss side. But now you got men getting a little lazy, kind of relying on the girl, the female that's hustling to provide for things, and that's like making the man feel less of, I think, a man, going into the direction of what a man is supposed to do, versus what the woman is doing and what you can get out of it. So I'm not too sure where people are at right now. I don't know if people is in it for just the money, for long term, for attention, to just get in the mix. Like I said, some people can't do what they always do alone, so they gotta feel like they are part of something to have that, like, to make their life seem valid. So if that next man doing something and you not, or that person not, that person may feel like they have to get in a side hustle, or that person may feel like they have to start doing this in order for their life to be as a value. So now we both hustling. Now our lives is both equal, which still isn't the case, because that same person can be doing something illegal for that money. That same person cannot even care about that money, but all you see is that, and you think that is something that screams validity, screams credibility, screams secureness, but it doesn't. And that's the part where I think us as millennials in our generation fails at, because we believe everything we see. We see this and see that, and we just go straight forward and dive right in, and put all our eggs in that basket just by seeing something. You probably never felt it. You probably never thought about it. Probably never, considered it until you seen it that time by that person who did X, Y, and Z, and that made you feel like you can do it. So now, you're doing something you never did, but it's not really what you want to do. You're just doing it because of other people. And as long as we, people continue to be in that cycle of, those environments, that's not, necessarily letting them grow, or they're just used to what they know, we will never truly grow. I don't think so. I think you have to separate yourself, at a point in time. Even from your loved ones, from your closest friends, your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband. At some point in our lives, or if not, it already happened. Separation from just whatever is consuming you, or making you feel like it's taking over. That separation is going to be definitely needed. And it's not always a bad thing. Separation brings clarity. Separation brings understanding. Separation brings things that may not have came if things were not separated, which can be beneficial to the long run if you are patient and believe that this is something that will come back. So I definitely believe that separation will be a definitely major key in our lives. If you are going through anything, you're dealing with things inside, and you just want them better, or a better life. Think about separating yourself from those things. Because if you think about if you stick in it, you continue just to stay around. How can things get better? If you separate yourself and allow the time of space, and allow things to be seen maybe from afar, it'll make you feel better. I promise you, it'll make you feel better. It'll make you see things for what it really is, versus what you see it, or what you see it as when you're inside of it. You get to see yourself inside of the situation, and see how you may have been acting, reacting, and you can kind of critique yourself, and judge, and make those necessary changes when you're on the outside looking in. And I think that's very key and very important to us, because we're young, we're moving, we're doing a lot, and sometimes we just have to slow down and kind of take a break and take a pause and say, and get a grip. We gotta get a grip on things, and really hold on to it, to make sure that whatever you was feeling, or whatever you was going through, or whatever the case may be, that you've not only moved past it, but you've grown from it. You now know what not to do. You now know how to avoid it, or even if not avoid it, but you now know how to react differently than you once did in the past. So separation definitely will bring growth, and understanding and clarity to a lot of situations. So choose growth over company, and your life will play out how you intended to.